He came to me again that night, forced himself. I cried and pleaded, but he didn't listen. My worlds crashed on me. The pain was too much. After listening to my story, you will pity for me, and most importantly, learn from it. My name is Mina. I'm 15 years old, and I don't remember the last time I was truly happy. Growing up in my house was like walking barefoot on shattered glass every day. Every step, painful in a new way. My parents were married for 15 years, but the word marriage doesn't fit what they had. They got married when I was conceived, and from the moment I could understand anything, all I saw was shouting, broken bottles, slammed doors, and bruises that my mother tried so hard to hide. My father is an alcoholic. Angry, loud, and bitter, he would scream at my mother for everything: food being late, his missing socks, even the way she breathed. And then he'd hit her. Sometimes just a slap, other times worse. And after each storm there would be silence, like the house was holding its breath, waiting for the next explosion. I used to think life couldn't be worse. I thought that being in that toxic home was the worst thing fate could do to me. But I was wrong. So wrong. It happened on a night that felt like all the others. My father had come home drunk again. I could hear the crash of something hitting the wall from my room, followed by my mother's voice, frustrated, tired, shaking. For the first time, I didn't run to stop them. I just stayed in bed, frozen, listening. Then I heard something different. Silence. No cries, no yelling, just a dead, hollow quiet. When I got up and walked to the living room, my mother was standing by the door with a bag in her hand. "Mummy, where are you going?" My voice cracked, but she didn't even look at me at first. She was staring at the floor like it held all the answers she'd been searching for. "I can't do this anymore, Mina," she said quietly. I grabbed her arm. "Please, don't leave me here. Take me with you. Please, Mummy, please." She finally looked at me then. Her eyes were red and tired. "I don't know where I'm going, Mina. I don't even know what tomorrow looks like. But you can't come with me. Not now. He's your father. You'll be fine." I cried, begged, screamed, but nothing changed. Just like that. I sat by the door all night, hugging her scarf, waiting for it all to be a bad dream. But it wasn't. By morning, she was still gone, and I had to force myself to move. I cleaned the house, like she used to. I cooked, like she used to. I packed my bag and went to school. My best friend, Ifioma, tried to talk to me. She saw something was wrong, but I couldn't tell her. What would I even say? That my mother walked away and left me behind with the man she ran from. That I was now playing wife in a house that felt like a haunted cage. I just smiled weakly and told her I was tired. When I got home that day, the house was quiet. My father wasn't back from work yet, but he had left money on the center table, something he rarely did. I used it to make dinner. I even set the table for two like my mother would have. That night, I waited. 10 o'clock came, then 11. Still no sign of him. My body was tired, and my eyes felt like they had cried out everything they had. I went to bed, hoping that tomorrow might feel less heavy. But I was wrong. Sometime deep into the night, I felt a weight press down on me. Heavy, rough. I was still half asleep when the stench hit me: alcohol, sweat, something bitter and sour. At first I thought I was dreaming, but then I felt the hand course, unfamiliar in the worst way. I opened my eyes. It was my father. "Papa, what are you doing?" My voice was shaky, barely a whisper. He didn't answer. His eyes were glassy, unfocused, but his hands moved with purpose. I struggled, kicked, begged him to stop, but my words didn't matter. My resistance didn't matter. He had his way. And just like that, something in me broke. I couldn't sleep all through the night. I cried silently, curled into myself like a wounded animal. Every part of my body ached, not just from what he did to me, but from what it was doing to my soul. I felt like a glass cup, shattered into invisible pieces. My tears soaked my pillow, my chest felt like it was being crushed, and my heart wouldn't stop racing. When the sun finally peeked through the window, I was in the bathroom, brushing my teeth mechanically, my hands trembling. That's when I heard his footsteps unsteady, dragging. My heart sank. He stood at the bathroom door with guilt smeared all over his face like dirt he couldn't wash away. His shirt was wrinkled, his eyes puffy. "Mina," he called softly, like he expected comfort. "I'm sorry. Please, I didn't mean to hurt you." I froze. "I was drunk," he continued, voice shaking. "It was the alcohol. It messed with my head. I swear to you, Mina, it will never happen again." But I knew those words too well. I had watched him say the same things to my mother. "I'm sorry. I was drunk. I'll change." He never did. The apologies were just a performance, a ritual he repeated whenever he broke something: her jaw, a plate, a promise. Now he had broken me. He moved closer, slowly, cautiously. "Please, don't tell anyone. Don't say anything. You're my daughter, Mina. I love you. I don't know what came over me. It won't happen again. I promise. Please." I stared at him, toothbrush still in hand, foam dripping into the sink. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. Nothing I said would make a difference. And even if I screamed the truth to the world, who would believe me? That my own father, the man who's supposed to protect me, did this. He stepped back, seeing that I wouldn't answer. Then he nodded like it was enough, like my silence meant forgiveness. I got dressed and walked out the door. School felt like a faraway place. I didn't hear the bell ring, didn't register the noise of the other students. I just moved through the day like a shadow. But someone noticed. Miss Shade. She was my English teacher. Not particularly warm, but always attentive. She had sharp eyes, the kind that could read more than essays. That day, she pulled me aside after class. "Mina," she said gently, "are you okay?" I paused. Her voice cracked something in me. My lips quivered. My throat dried up. "Yes, Ma," I said, smiling faintly. "I'm fine." She frowned, slightly studying me. "Are you sure?" I nodded. "Yes." She didn't push further. She just sighed and told me I could always come to her if I ever needed someone to talk to. I walked away. But that night became a nightmare again. It had rained earlier, and the smell of wet earth filled the house. My father came home late. He didn't speak to me. He didn't even look at me. I locked my door as always, pushed the chair under the handle. I thought I was safe. But sometime after midnight, I woke up to the sound of the chair dragging across the floor. I had forgotten to jam it properly. I turned over and there he was. Drunk again, mumbling to himself, staggering toward me. "No," I whispered, crawling backward, trying to put distance between us. "Please, don't do this again." But he ignored me. He pinned me down. I struggled, screamed, kicked. I begged, "Please, Daddy, please." His reply chilled my blood. "Just stay still, Mina. Don't fight it. This is love." I fought with all the strength left in my body, scratching and hitting, but he was stronger. I cried out again, my voice swallowed by the night. I kept thinking, someone has to hear me. Someone will come. Someone. But no one came. By morning, I lay on my bed, bruised, shaking, and cold. I couldn't move. My thighs hurt. My head was pounding. My heart no longer felt like mine. He left again like nothing happened. This time, I didn't even bother bathing. I wiped the tears from my swollen eyes, threw on my uniform, and left the house. I didn't know where I was going at first. I just needed to escape. But my legs carried me to school. As I walked into the compound, Miss Shade saw me. Her eyes immediately caught the scratch on my cheek and the way I was limping. She hurried over, concern painted all over her face. "Mina, what happened to you?" I froze. Her voice was too soft, too kind. It hurt to hear kindness when you were drowning. I started, but my throat closed up. I wanted to tell her. I really did. But the words were too heavy, too dangerous. "I fell," I muttered. It was dark. I hit something. She looked at me for a long moment, eyes narrowing slightly. "Mina, this doesn't look like a fall. Is someone hurting you?" I quickly shook my head. "No, Ma, I'm okay. I'm just clumsy, that's all." She didn't believe me. I could see it. But what could she do? What could anyone do when I wouldn't speak? She nodded slowly. "All right. But Mina, if there's anything at all, you can always talk to me. Please." I nodded. Not because I agreed, but because I wanted her to stop asking. Because I was scared that if she kept pressing, the truth might come tumbling out, and I wasn't ready for the consequences. I didn't even know what they were. What if they took me away and placed me in a home worse than the one I already lived in? What if they didn't believe me? What if they confronted my father and it only made him angrier? What if he hurt me again? The what-ifs were endless. So I kept silent. That afternoon after school, I didn't want to go home. I wandered the streets. I sat on a bench under a tree at the park, watching mothers with their children, laughing, playing. I tried to remember what my mother's laugh sounded like. I couldn't. When I finally got home, the house was quiet. My father was in the sitting room, drinking again. He didn't even glance at me. I went straight to my room and locked the door, this time jamming it properly. I sat on my bed and stared at the wall for hours. I kept wondering if maybe I was to blame. Maybe I should have screamed louder. Maybe I should have run away that night my mother left. Maybe I should have told Miss Shade the truth. Maybe... I curled into a ball and whispered to the silence, "I don't want to live like this anymore." And somewhere deep inside, a small spark lit up. A tiny flame of courage. It wasn't strong enough yet, but it was there. The first sign that maybe, just maybe, I might still find a way out. At home that Sunday, while scrubbing the kitchen floor, I gritted my teeth so hard my jaw began to hurt. My mind wasn't even on the chore, it was filled with hatred. Hatred for my father, yes, but even more, hatred for the woman who gave birth to me and left me behind like I was a forgotten purse. I whispered her name under my breath, "Mama," but not out of love. I said it the way you speak to a ghost you're not ready to forgive. I hated her. How could she leave me with him? Didn't she see the monster in him? How could a mother walk away knowing what he was capable of? Did she ever love me at all? I blamed her, I blamed God, I blamed everyone but myself. The pain I carried in my heart wasn't normal. It was heavy, like a sack of wet cement strapped to my chest. I couldn't breathe properly anymore. I cried until there were no more tears. I'd cry in the bathroom, at night, even while cleaning, my tears falling into the soapy water like they belonged there. Eventually, I stopped fighting. I stopped begging him to stop. I stopped struggling. It was like my body went numb. He noticed and would whisper things like, "Good girl, that's how to behave." His words made my skin crawl. I hated his voice, his smell, the sound of his footsteps returning at night. I hated the way he spoke to me in public, acting like a proud father, smiling like the devil in disguise. That was my reality for months, until one day, everything changed. It was a Monday morning. We were all gathered at the school assembly grounds. I stood among my classmates in my usual spot, but this time, something felt wrong. My legs were shaking and my vision blurred. I clutched my stomach, my breath shortened. Then the ground tilted beneath me. Everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on a hospital bed. The lights were too bright. I could hear distant voices. One of them was Miss Shade's. A nurse leaned over me, her face kind but serious. "You fainted during assembly," she said. "Your vitals are unstable, and based on the symptoms you presented, nausea, fatigue, dizziness, we had to run a pregnancy test." My heart stopped. My mouth opened but no sound came out. "Is there a boy you've been fooling around with?" another nurse asked gently. No, I whispered, shaking my head. Who do you live with? She asked. My father. Where is your mother? She left, I mumbled. They nodded, glanced at one another. Then came the question I had dreaded my whole life. Has your father touched you in any way that made you uncomfortable? I broke. Tears poured down my face. I didn't answer. I couldn't. But my silence was louder than any confession. They exchanged glances, grave, knowing. They didn't ask again. Instead, they carried out the test. When the result came back, it was positive. Pregnant. I stared at the paper like it was a death sentence. My stomach churned. I felt like vomiting, but nothing came up, just air and pain. Miss Sade sat by my side, her eyes filled with emotion. She held my hand tightly. Mina, she said, her voice steady. You need to tell us who did this to you. Please, we want to help. But I couldn't speak. Pride. Miss Sade stood up and went to report the situation to the principal. Soon, they called my father. When he arrived, his voice thundered through the hospital halls. This is nonsense, he barked. What are you people talking about? My daughter? Pregnant? That's impossible. He marched into the room where I sat with Miss Sade and the principal. My daughter is a good girl, he said. I've raised her alone since her mother left. I work hard, I provide, I love her. He walked over to me, crouched beside my chair like he was some loving parent trying to soothe a confused child. Mina, he said, gripping my hand. Tell them the truth. You know I've always been good to you. Then he leaned closer, too close, and whispered, his breath hot and threatening against my ear. No one can save you. No one will treat you better than I do. Don't speak. If you do, you'll suffer more than this. I sat there, frozen. Miss Sade's eyes searched mine. I could see the way she looked at me. Real concern, real care. She had always shown me kindness in the smallest ways. A gentle pat on the back, a word of encouragement, a smile that didn't feel fake. But my father's words had a grip on me. Could Miss Sade really protect me? Could anyone? If I opened my mouth now, would I end up in a worse place? Would they send me back to him? Would the law even believe me? A child, against a man who could lie so convincingly. I looked at my father, then at Miss Sade. My throat tightened. My hands began to tremble. My heartbeat pounded so loud I thought the walls could hear it. This was my moment. It was my only chance. To choose silence and return to the horror I knew, or to speak and risk the unknown. And if you were in Mina's shoes, if you were me, what would you do? Would you stay silent to survive? Or speak out and hope someone catches you before you fall deeper? To find out what I did next, like, subscribe, and comment for part 2.